Good evening, Kings fans. It is that time again. That was weird, Kings fans. Anyways, what's going on? I hope everybody's doing well, staying safe during these holiday weeks coming up on the holidays. But before we can get to those, it is Sacramento Kings basketball tonight. Kings Thunder getting ready to get it started over at the Golden One Center. A lot of stuff going on around the Sacramento Kings. We've got who's in, who's out, and we'll discuss this tough matchup. The Thunder, they are winners of 3 and 4, and they are the second team in the West right now playing great basketball. So all that and more, this is the pregame show on If You Don't Like That.
3, 2, 1, go.
Sacramento miscue. Carter, stolen by Williams. And look at this. Oh, you don't like that. You don't like NBA basketball. Fox, goodbye. Oh, if you don't like that, you don't like NBA basketball. The exclamation point from De'Aaron Fox. Oh, if you don't like that, you don't like NBA basketball.
Boy, that's an ESPN highlight right there. Whoa. Carlson comes in. How about this? Holy moly, Jim Bob Foley. That was a major league smush.
Welcome into the If You Don't Like That Studios, Rhino headquarters. Happy to have you here. Hope everybody's excited about the game tonight. It should be a great one. I mean, a showdown of two of the point guards that should lead this league into the next generation, the future of this league. So really excited to see Fox and SGA showdown. Let's get to some of the comments right off the bat. Mark, what is up, my man? Enjoy smoking that brisket. Let us know how it goes. And go Kings, baby. Sports Freak, as always, getting into some implications of this game and some thoughts on the last time these two teams matched up. There was a low score, and this really should be a scoring extravaganza. I mean, you look at the first game, the Kings won 105-98. Just to give you a reference point, the Thunder scoring 120.4 points a game. That's fifth in the NBA. Kings right now scoring 116.3. That is 21st in the NBA. So you're guessing that they will, ninth in the NBA, 116.3 for the Kings. But you would expect that this is going to be an offensive showdown. And you remember the last time the Kings played the Thunder, and this Thunder team, the way the Kings slowed them down last time ended up being of a benefit. Granted, they did slow down Shai Gilgeous-Alexander a lot on the perimeter. He got warm as the fourth quarter went along, but it was a little bit too much that night for the Thunder, and that was a game without Fox. So you're going to expect, again, scoring to be up tonight. But what I also want to expect is production from everyone, especially the starters. We've talked at length about Harrison Barnes. We've talked at length about Keegan Murray, Kevin Huerter, the inconsistencies. It's hard to do a halftime show without touching on those things. But these are those games where the Kings have to have everybody, especially in that starting five, firing on all cylinders. Because even when that starting five is playing pretty well, at times they're only 2, 3, 4, 5 points better than the team they're playing. So when you're playing a team like the Thunder, you're looking, neck to neck probably there in the first quarter. And if the Thunder are able to get out to any lead, that's going to be tough for the Kings if the three ball's not falling. And what do we know from the last game in LA? The three ball was not there. And we know the Kings are having trouble on back-to-backs. It's relatively early in the season, but it is something you want to see corrected fairly soon. I mean, how many games does it take to get your legs under you to be game ready? And I get that you're going to have wear and tear as the season goes along, but to be quite honest, the back-to-backs really don't get much easier on coming up on this homestand. You've got a back-to-back of Phoenix and Minnesota. Granted, I believe Minnesota is also going to be on a night 2 of a back-to-back, but those are the games where the Kings have to be better. And we talk about also the feeling of this team, the temperature of this team. Is this team better at this point this season, or are they worse than the team last year at a comparable point? And the only thing that I can point to is the fact that the Kings have lost 6 games by double digits. 6 games. And a lot of those 6 games were by in the 20s, high teens. One of them was 10 on the dot. But then also on the flip side, the Kings have won 5 games wire to wire this season. So what's it tell us? They're a little bit of Jekyll and Hyde. And if you want to take it a little further or peel the onion back a little bit more, Jekyll seems to show up when a better team's in town, when they know that they're going to be tested. So I expect the Kings to come out tonight and at least have that energy, come out with that spark. And I'm excited to see what you guys think as well. Trey Lyles, he has been sick all day. And there's no word on whether or not, last time I checked was right before we came on air, if he'll be playing. He took part in shoot around, or he took part in warmups before the game. So that decision is still up in the air. Trey wants to play. It's up to the medical staff at this point, per Mike Brown in his pregame press conference. And then also Lou Dort for the Thunder. He is day to day. I have not seen an update on him. I'm guessing he will probably be giving it a go tonight. Kings, Alex Len still out with the ankle injury. We're about 32 days out from that injury, and they put a 6 to 8 week time line together, hopefully to have him back on the team and playing. So that's kind of where we stand there. So that's how the teams match up right there on paper. Let's get some more of your comments in tonight. Yep, feeling good about tonight. Love it, Lights. I am feeling the same way. What is up, Baki? Appreciate it, man. I try to mix it up here with my Kings gear. Alberto, welcome in, buddy. This team is so inconsistent. I honestly don't know what to expect tonight. Well, like I said, when I laid out the numbers, those 5 wins, I don't have the exact 5 in front of me, but those 5 wins were likely against some of the better teams. I think Minnesota on the road, Minnesota's first home loss comes to mind. I would not be surprised if the Thunder game was a wire-to-wire victory. So there's a few of them. Utah, that would have been one the first game of the season. So I guess what I'm saying is I think that they bring it. That good side of them shows up when they play against a opponent that is a better basketball team than them. Lights, what's up? Kings have a history of playing well against Thunder, so I'm rocking with it. Yeah, it's a different Thunder team. This team, and Grant has had them on his radar for probably a good year, if not more, but it's a young team, and they've got experience in the right places. They're deep, and they can play multiple styles with you, and then you've got one of those guys that just is an amazing point guard. Just so many different things that he does, whether it's the assists, his ability to get to the rim. SGA, he was near the league leaders in free throw attempts last year. So that tells you how much his drive game and getting to the rack is important to the Thunder. And it opens up things for guys like Josh Giddey for threes. And you talk about Chet Holmgren, who got pushed around a little bit in the first game against Sabonis. Will that happen again tonight? I mean, it would be a good get right game for Sabonis. It feels like, especially, and it's more so on the defensive end, he's been getting pushed around a lot more. I don't know what it is. Is it effort? I don't think so, but I don't remember him having as hard of a time last year with a lot of the same centers in the Western Conference. So again, lots to talk about here. Carf getting in on the action. I hope HB and Kevin show up tonight. Yeah, you know, it's one of those things. And I told Grant, I'm like, why is the question? Or I said on, I think it was the Grant and Jerry show or post-game show after Clippers game, why isn't it being asked to Mike Brown about HB? And even Herter. I mean, think about Herter's struggles at the beginning of the season and how big of a media story that was here in Sacramento. Do we bench him? Is he even good enough to be on the team? I mean, just wild takes, right? And Mike Brown had to answer those. He addressed them. He supported Kevin, right? I don't hear much about Harrison Barnes, and I get that he's a silent leader on that team, but it needs to be asked. Is this a Harrison thing? Is this a Kings coaching thing? Is this a strategic thing offensively? What is it? And where do we go? because if there's not a spot for Harrison in the starting lineup with that type of production, there's really not a spot. And granted, the Kings will need him, so there is going to be a spot, but those numbers don't translate to a forward that be getting minutes off the bench for this team. So long story short, I want to see it correct too. We start hopefully tonight, which will be a 1-game sample size, but it's got to start somewhere. And it's a good game for him to be able to get a couple mismatches. I do think there are a few out there for him. And remember, Harrison, the one thing last year he was really good at, and I think this is something that the Kings are missing this year, was when they were playing at that frenetic pace and it was just up and down, up and down. When the 3-ball wasn't going, Harrison Barnes, and I'm not talking about just Harrison's 3-ball, I'm talking about as a team. Harrison Barnes was always good to slow down the offense for at least a play or two, get to the free throw line, and it gave the team a chance to reset offensively. So that's just another thing that's been missing this year. So it will be good to see him hopefully break out of that slump sometime soon. Egan, what is up, my man? Thank you very much. Appreciate it. Let's go Kings. Indeed. Alberto Rhino always has to get Kings gear on. Rhino, you and Grant should wear a suit and tie one of these days. Who knows? We've done crazier things. We raised 16 grand for charity to get our head shaved at Bennett's. Yeah. So we might be able to put something together with the suits and ties. Baki, it's exactly what you can expect, Alberto. Unexpected. Well done. So, Lydia, what's up? Haven't seen you here in a while. Hey, Rhino, Kings just signed a guy that used to play for the Warriors on a 1-year deal. Not much to talk about. Kings need to make 2 trades. 2 trades, huh? To compete with the top 5. Or they don't need, or the Kings need to. Okay, they need to. Yeah, so the Kings got, or it's not been finalized, but Juan Toscano Anderson, excuse me. He is going to be coming over from the Warriors. That's in process right now. He's a guy that's played in roughly just a cup of coffee over 190 NBA games. 6'6" forward, kind of a 3-and-D guy. More or less, not so much on the 3, more on the D. But the Kings right now, they need bodies. That's what they need. They are very thin on that front line, and it's been rotating chairs. It's been musical chairs with the center position, with the forward. So we'll see what happens. It's a low risk move. I think, Lydia, to the second point of your comment, I don't know how many trades they need. I think it's a little bit too soon to assume they need a trade at this point. But the one thing I will say is they are set up to be able to maneuver, and they have some pieces that other teams would desire. I mean, quite honestly, pieces that aren't playing well right now in Sacramento. Harrison Barnes, one of the guys we were just talking about. He's one that comes to mind. With a contender, he could play a completely different and good role for a team that plays a different style of basketball. Same thing goes for some of the other guys. And Malik Monk, how about him? His contract up at the end of the season. Think about how important Malik has been to this team. He's been so important. He's the number 3 guy on the team. His offensive box plus minus has nearly doubled this season. Last year, he was floating around the 1.6s. Now he's right around 3.1, 3.2 points. So basically what that means is he's a 1.5 better during his span on the court. So, or over a certain renewing period, if I want to explain it that way. But so he's very important to this team, but he's a guy that does a contender want to rent him. So the Kings have the ability to move around. The last thing I'll say on that is the Kings also have to, this trade isn't just to make the team better this year. And I think Monty has shown he's always a couple steps ahead of us. But you got to look, if you're talking about any of the big names, that's going to be a decision that's a multi-year. That's a part of the team building, the plan vision because you have to immediately know you're making a decision. Then if you bring in a Pascal Siakam, he's going to demand $40 million a year to re-sign here. And you obviously probably would not bring him in unless you had some type of a guarantee. It'd make no sense to give up what you need to give up to get him for a rental. So then you're looking at the future of this team. That means Keegan Murray is going to be in 2 years coming up on his 4th season. It means the team will have a team option because it's a rookie deal. But then that's when the talks start about Keegan. Assuming Keegan's still here, is he going to be a max player by that time? So, like I said, there's a lot that goes into just making a couple of small moves and how they could affect the future. Gary, what is up? Happy to have you here. The Kings will win the championship this year. Do you think so? I do not, Gary, but I do like the optimism. Neil, we're getting some Queens smack. The Queens going to lose tonight by 20 points. They suck. Trade Barnes and Herter. They're soft. I agree with your last 2 words. They are soft. They're soft. So I can give you that, my friend. So a lot of comments about Barnes. Alberto has a good one here. Harrison needs to be on the bench ASAP. I'm not sure if Coach Brown can bench HB without Fox's approval, though. I'm not buying into that. I don't know where you guys are getting that. I don't think that requires Fox's approval. I think that Mike Brown and this staff has been very transparent about the way they've been able to coach the team because De'Aaron and Domas have allowed Mike Brown to coach them the exact same way. So I don't think I'm not seeing anything there. Now, maybe, I don't know. Has there been a power shift? Could that be a reason for inconsistency? Not inconsistency, but some have said, well, the Kings don't look like they're playing with that same love, that same spark this season. It doesn't look like they're as tight, right? Could that play into it? Is there a shift in the politics with decision making? Who knows? But I, at this point, not buying into it with Fox being the guy that's driving the ship. So a lot of trade Barnes, a lot of trade Herders. So I guess, guys, but you got to remember, you got to have a trade partner that wants to trade with you. And the second thing is there a better player out there? Is it going to make the team better? And that's to be answered. I mean, I don't think trading Barnes and trading Herter, if these trends continue another 15 or 20 games, isn't a fair conversation to have, but you're not going to just say, get him off the team. We're trading him for whatever we can get. That's not happening. And I'm not saying you're implying that, but I get it. One thing that I am definitely trying to imply and being pretty bold about is Bennett's Westside Grill in Rockland, one of our sponsors here on If You Don't Like That. Bennett's, they are the place if you are craving a prime cut of steak or a great piece of seafood. They've got a wide-ranging menu and choices for just about everybody. And then on top of that, they've got some great specials, whether it's prime rib on the weekends, weekend brunch with a weekend mimosa special. They've got happy hour, and they've also got private dining rooms. So if you're having a holiday party or a get-together this season, give them a shout out and see about booking their private room. It's really nice. You got a view of everything. And don't forget the beautiful patio out there. Bennett's 3 locations. Bennett's Westside Grill located in Rockland. Another location, Bennett's located in Roseville. And the 3rd location off of Howe and Fair Oaks. Let them know that Grant and Ryan sent you. And yeah, don't forget about New Works Plumbing too for all your plumbing needs. So let's get back to the chat as my graphic for Bennett's will not go down. Goodbye, Bennett's. Bennett's wanted to stick around. Subliminal advertising, right? There we go. Let's get back to your guys' chat. You guys are talking about some signings. I like that. If you would be nice to have a true rim protecting center, Domas is not that. We could use a better two guard that puts more points up and defends as well as Herter, so we can move the needle. I don't think the two guard position moves the needle, Lids. I think it would take a very special type of center to put next to Sabonis to allow him to slide over and play the 4. I don't know that guy's available either. I mean, you would be talking about maybe a John Collins in Utah. You might be able to get him, but I think what you're kind of hinting at there is like a move to get like a Zach LaVine. I don't think that that's going to move it for the Kings. The Kings they've got to move the needle at the forward position. The point guard's right behind it. Luckily, Keon Ellis has given good minutes to Mike Brown and given him a little bit of a different look. Not saying that he gives a ton offensively, but he gives more than what Mitchell was giving you during his time this season. And the other thing, I just feel like Keon Ellis is more of a basketball player. His reactions, his feel for the game, not as robotic, not as stiff. So that's been a benefit. But I think that forward position, Lids, you got to go back to that. You have to. You've got to have the 3-and-D guy that can hop out there with Keegan Murray and, try to guard Kawhi Leonard and Paul George combo, and the Kings simply don't have that. Neil getting in here. I have a feeling Softy Herter will get traded for a couple second rounders next month. We'll see. I mean, what's the realistic timeline? So let's talk about this for a second. And thank you again for joining the pregame show here on If You Don't Like That. I'm Ryan in Sacktown. Give us a thumbs up if you haven't already. And then also subscribe to the channel. This is Grant's YouTube channel. Grant and Jerry Reynolds will be here at halftime, breaking down the first half. And then Grant and I will be wrapping things up with the post-game show tonight. We've got you covered wall-to-wall. Kings, Thunder, second meeting of the season. Kings leading the season series 1-0. Thunder winners of 3 of 4 coming into this game. Still awaiting an update, or I will check really quick on an update on Trey Lyles and Lou Dort for the Thunder. So anyways, what's the timeline going to be? Because if you don't feel like if you don't feel this team is as competitive as it should be, and a move needs to be made, is it have to be a big move, or does it need to be just some moves, something small like a Kessler Edwards at the end of the deadline last year? I mean, is that not going to move the needle for you as a fan? Like, is this kind of the time that you kind of push back on Monty? Because Monty's going to be getting a lot of pushback, and probably already is, from the owner. I mean, think about how many times you've heard stories about Vivek meddling in the GM's dealings, whether it was Vlade or any other GM that's been in that seat since Vivek's owned the team. So, I think you do maybe start to call things into question if the wheels are coming off the track. But I think in the sense I get from everything here tonight is that Kings fans are impatient. And, it has the writing, or is it already been done? Let's put it that way. Has the deed been done with Herter and Barnes? You've lost all faith in them. Obviously, you have to play them until a trade can be found. But you've said no matter what they do from this point forward, we got to get rid of those guys. Because I'm not there yet, but I want to see if you guys are. So we will get some more of your love in here. Merch is coming. Merch is probably going to be next game. We are just waiting on the approval from the merchant that is handling the merch with the logos for the merch we've selected. Got to understand with the copyright laws and making your own shirts, they have to make sure that they couldn't be sued. So yeah, we're all good there. There's just a vetting process, but that should be complete any second. And once it is, information will be up on Grant's website, and we will let you know about that. So Yeah, at least that the game the other night where he had 3 fouls in like 3 seconds, it felt like. Biggest problem with Sabonis at the 4 is spacing. I don't agree with it. Yeah, but if you're talking about the Minnesotas of the world, the spacing's already going to be pretty shot. So look at a Denver. Is that going to affect the spacing against the Nuggets? I don't know. Probably it does. You're right there. Yeah, it's a good point to bring up. That's why I said it's got to be the right center. It's got to be a center that can step out and shoot the 3 ball probably better than Sabonis can shoot it right now. So let's see, get into a little bit more. What's up, Daniel? Happy to have you here. Thank you for tuning in. Egan's getting his prediction in. Kings 124, Thunder 115. Kings, last time I checked, were a 2.5 favorite tonight. So the Thunder, by the way, Thunder on good rest. They have been resting and awaiting the Kings. So no excuse for a slow start from them. I think the Kings will have had plenty of time to get ready for tonight's game. In fact, I believe they are 7-3 in games where they only have a day off this season. So that bids well for the Kings as well. Jay, what's up, my man? He's saying Kings 126, 118. We've got people still kind of talking about that debate. I do like it. So we're getting some. We're just building our own center here. So Alex says it would be nice to have a center 240 plus 6'11. Sure would. NBA 2K4, right? Let's see. Watt Vault. I think we are just coming to the reality that in order to become a top team in the West and win a playoff round, Fox and Sabonis is not enough, and we need to realize, or really, yeah, I don't think that we're coming to that reality. I think that's been the reality of this team all along, and I think the hope was coming out of this summer, Keegan Murray could be that third piece. Right? He was going to be the third guy, the third star, a big 3 organically. But here's the thing. That third piece, and that's why I talk about any trades that you make at this trade deadline that aren't going to be targeted towards, a franchise altering move. You got to be careful because they could affect any future big deals that may come along for that third piece that you're talking about. And the Kings are not, even if Keegan Murray was firing on all cylinders and was more consistent, not like at an all-star level, but much better than he has thus far. And I think Keegan's doing better. Last couple games, I've seen a lot of encouraging things from him. But I think if Keegan was able to play at a little bit of a higher level, then maybe the Kings would be in that position to get that one piece that would take them over the top, the Aaron Gordon to the Denver Nuggets that changed the dynamic for them. It was just that push over the ledge. So in that sense, then yeah, if all those things were happening, then that would be a third piece that you would go get and you'd be there, but they're not, and they're not going to be there. So that's why it's just really interesting what's on Monty's plate and what will happen when the trade deadline comes around. So anyways, I want to thank all of you for joining in here on the pregame show. Don't forget Grant and Jerry Reynolds. Jerry is something else. It's so much fun being on here with him, and I hope you guys enjoy him as much as we do. He will be at halftime, or here at halftime with us, and we will break down the first half, and then Grant and I will break down the game. Hopefully, we are talking about a Kings victory over the current number 2 seed in the Western Conference. Whatever you do, guys, do not take your eyes off of that point guard matchup tonight. That is going to be a special matchup between SGA and De'Aaron Fox. So enjoy the first half. We will see you back here at halftime with Grant Napier and